2 introductions in one day. Pretty good. Thank you. Appreciate you all being here today. You know better than I that America is falling apart, and we're falling behind. We're falling behind the rest of the world. Most every other country in the world gets it. If you rebuild your infrastructure, or if you build a 21st century infrastructure, you're going to be able to compete in a global economy. United States of America, we led the world post-World War II. We were #1. People came here to look at our public works and marvel at what we had done. And now that infrastructure is worn out. And I'm serving here with a bunch of people who don't either have the will or the courage or the vision to say, look, we're going to rebuild the Eisenhower era infrastructure, and we're going to build out a 21st century infrastructure so America can compete with the rest of the world, and we can again lead the world. We just can't be number 20 in the world on infrastructure. We need to be #1, and it doesn't take very much for us to get there. I'm going to propose this week, I serve with a bunch of people here who think the American people aren't willing to make investments. And to me, that's kind of a dyspeptic view of the world. It means you don't believe in the future of this country. If you don't believe in investing in our kids in education, if you don't believe in investing in our roads, bridges, highways, our transit systems, our dams, our locks, our jetties, then I guess you have a pretty short-term view. You figure maybe we're not going to be here in a few years. Well, I do believe we're going to be here, and I do believe we can lead again. So in order to maybe give them a little cover, I'm going to propose something a little different. I'm proposing a tax on a barrel of oil for years. For every $1 tax we put on a barrel of oil, watch the speculators on Wall Street. They'll drive up the price of oil $5 in one day. And, but for every $1 of a tax on an annual basis, we can raise nearly $5 billion for the trust fund. So with a relatively small tax on a barrel of oil, we can fund the rebuilding of our infrastructure. But what I'm going to propose now is going to just get them a little bit, give them a little cover. I'm going to repeal the retail gas tax at the pump, which is put directly on consumers, and we're going to move the tax upstream to the oil companies and say, you pay the tax, and let's rebuild America. It's time to get the job done. No more hesitation around here. The trust fund runs out in August. I'm not hearing any real talk around here. They're saying, oh, let's destroy the Postal Service to get 6 months funding. If you go to 5-day-a-week delivery for the Postal Service, that's the end of the Postal Service. That will put them in a death spiral. That will take a first-class letter, which is the only place they make money, and delay a quarter of the first-class mail. Some people will take 5 days to get a first-class letter from one town to another that are adjoining. That will be a stampede from the Postal Service. Let's not destroy the Postal Service. That's a great institution that knits America together, and I have a bill to solve their problems. But let's also confront our problems with infrastructure, and let's just say, okay, fine. Let's tax the oil companies, and let's use that money to put people back to work and to make America more competitive. The greatest thing about investing in our infrastructure is we have the strongest Buy America requirements of any part of the federal government. So every dollar that goes in there comes back many times over. $1 billion in transportation investment is 29,000 jobs now, and more jobs in the future, and more competitiveness for our country. Enough talking. Let's go to work. Let's get it done. Thanks very much.